Hello everyone and welcome back to QZone, your free channel for passing the ASQ CQM exam. Today's presentation is about Chapter 2B, Negotiation. So, what is negotiation? We have three definitions here for negotiation. Decision aimed at reaching an agreement. The other definition is the act of exchanging ideas or changing relationship to meet a need. The third definition is a structured process to resolve difference and reach agreement. Now, in the third definition, I want you to focus on the word structured. So, negotiation is structured. It has to be pre-planned and arranged. In the second definition, I want you to focus on the word need. Whenever you want to make a negotiation, you should know the need of yourself and the need of the person you are negotiating with. In the first definition, you need to focus on the word agreement. So, a main key of negotiation is that it focuses on mutual benefits and organizational objectives. Here you have to focus on the word mutual. So when you negotiate, you should have mutual benefit for yourself and for the other negotiator. Negotiation is a critical leadership competency. So what are the steps of negotiation? Step number one, you have to prepare, then build relationship, explore, solve, agree, and at the end, you have to follow up. In the coming slides, we're going to describe and explain each one separately. So what is preparation? Preparation is the most critical step in negotiation. Never attend or go for negotiation without having full preparation. In your preparation, the first point is that you have to define your objectives. What you need of this negotiation, what is the minimum acceptance outcome versus desired outcome. Before attending the negotiation, you should know your acceptable outcomes, below which you will reject the offer, and your desired outcome. You should know at which point you will accept the offer. Identify interest, and here it is important to know your interests in addition to your negotiator's interests. Determine the BATNA, which is the best alternative offer, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. I'll give an example for this. If I want to sell you a car, and of course you have many alternative offers because you have seen my competitors, you have seen other cars. If I can determine your BATNA, which is your best offer, for example, I want to sell you a Mercedes, and I some way could know that your best alternative offer is 100,000, then I can confidently sell you my Mercedes for 99,000, since your best alternative offer is 100,000. And if I know it's 100,000, then I can sell you a 99,000, and I will never go down to a 98,000 because I know I am 1,000 less than your betna. So once you know the betna, then you can end your negotiation by giving a best offer. Assess risk, constraints, and authority levels before entering negotiation. Gather data like equality, cost, schedule, performance metrics, competitors, similar products in the market, etc. Understand stakeholder priorities. All of these must be prepared and structured before entering the negotiation. Now, also before starting the negotiation, you have to open a relationship or make relationship building between you and your negotiator. Like establish understanding and professional tone. Clarify the purpose and the scope of this negotiation. You have to clarify to each other the purpose and the scope. You have to put some rules like the time, authorities, process, when and where, etc. Reinforce mutual objectives. Like, what are your mutual objectives, like quality, performance, customer satisfaction, and more? These must be done before negotiation, before starting the negotiation. Maybe it can be at the same day, and even once you meet for negotiation, but before starting your negotiation. The next point is exploration of interest. This can be before or during the negotiation. So you have to ask open-ended questions and not just questions that could be answered by a yes or no. You have to practice active listening. You have to be a good listener and practice active listening to your negotiator. Separate positions from interests. So if you are negotiating with your manager or with a high position, during the negotiation you have to forget about his position and separate it from your negotiation. Or even if you are a manager negotiating with a subordinate, you cannot use your superiority or your position in your negotiation. Also, you have to identify the constraints and drivers related to this negotiation. The next step in negotiation is bargaining and problem solving. So, when bargaining, you have to generate options for mutual gains. Always try to give him options that suits you, that are beneficial for you and for him. These options must be of a mutual gain for both sides. When bargaining, you have to use data and performance metrics. You have to make trade-offs strategically. So in your negotiation, you don't have to approach gaining. It's a trade-offs. You give him, he gives you. You have to manage conflicts constructively, and conflicts shall be more studied in the next presentation. And the last point, which is most important, you have to stay aligned with your organizational values and ethics. The next step of negotiation is closure and agreement, which is also so important. Once you have finished your negotiation, you have to confirm understanding of terms. It's like a minute of meeting where you repeat the understanding of terms. You read it again to your negotiator. You have to ensure alignment with quality and compliance requirement. Most important is that you have to document the agreements. In addition, you have to define the follow-up actions and metrics, like what you're gonna do next day, how you're gonna follow up, or next month, or next year. You have to establish accountability. The last point in negotiation is to follow up and evaluate the results of your evaluation or your negotiation results. So you have to monitor implementation of whatever was agreed upon. You have to measure the outcomes and evaluate it as well. You have to capture lesson learned for whatever happened during this negotiation so you can use it in your next negotiation or for risk assessments. And of course, you have to maintain this relationship for mutual benefits. Now we're gonna discuss the principles of negotiation. The first principle is to separate people from the problem, to be focused. So people that are part of this problem shall be separated from it, to be more focused on the negotiation. You have to focus on interest and not position. Face, do not fear, which was already discussed in the previous slides. Investigate options for mutual gain. Win-win negotiation. Always, always, always target a win-win negotiation. You have to prepare objective measurable criteria. Do not use emotions. So criterias must be measurable. Maintain ethical standards. Be honest. Policies and regulations must be respected. And for sure, you have to avoid manipulation. And the last principle is to build a long-term relation. You have to build trust, credibility, and respect. The last slide is about keys of successful negotiation, which are almost discussed in the previous slides. Key number 1, preparation. Understand your goals, limits, and alternatives. Gather data, quality metrics, supplier performance, and cost implications. Communication, clarity, clearly articulate requirements and expectations. Listen actively to other parties concerned. Collaboration, aim to a win-win outcomes. Avoid one-party losses. Problem solving, focus on interests and not position. Use root cause analysis to address underlying issues. And the last point, ethics. Maintain honesty, integrity, and fairness. Avoid misleading information or manipulation. Thank you for your attendance. I hope that was beneficial. Our next presentation will be about conflict resolution.